A sense of humor is the best indicator that you will recover. It is often the best indicator that people will love you. Sustain that, and you have hope. Welcome, everybody. My name is Tyler Adolfo. I hope you appreciated that opening quote by Andrew Solomon. I thought that it was appropriately fitting for the topic of today's video, which is funny things I did while manic, hilarious things I did while manic. There's, of course, a different level of funny to it, depending on who you are. Some of us find things slightly funny, others will find things extremely humorous. As for why I want to share some of the humorous moments in my manic episode that pretty much destroyed my life, got me expelled from college, got me arrested, lost all my friends, obliterated my finances. What's so funny about that? Well, of course, those things aren't funny. They still hurt. They're still traumatizing. They'll probably always be that way, to be quite frank. The reason I'm sharing is because I consider humor to be a crucial part of my treatment plan. At the beginning of my depressive episode, I started watching George Carlin videos as a way to reduce my depression, and it worked a significant amount. I'm still depressed today. I still lack the energy to do many things, particularly things that I used to enjoy. I have diminished interest in almost every activity you could imagine. I am fatigued, but just because I'm still depressed, it doesn't mean I can't come on here and banter from time to time. This is the part of my day that I look the most forward to, is making YouTube content and putting it up on here for all of you guys and gals to view, and so you could share your comments and I can read what you have to say. So let's get right into it. Funny things I did while manic. Now, these are not ranked. They're just things that come to mind. If someone were to ask me, what were the funniest things you did while manic? This is exactly what I would say to them. So the first thing is at one point, I literally ordered a Hummer limo and had it bring me from my cousin's house to my home, and had plans to bring me to college inside of it as well. And my intention was to pick up the pledges of my fraternity. I called it the Holy Caravan on my social media. And then we were going to go to the frat house in Amherst, which is where I went to college, to stand against corruption. That's a stand that never took place, thankfully. That would just be one more embarrassing thing that I would have to remember from my manic episode. But I remember the Hummer limo costed about like $1,000, maybe a little bit under that. It was a white Hummer limo, and it came, picked me up outside of my cousin's house. I got inside, and I had a whole bunch of alcohol with me and other random belongings that don't quite go together whatsoever. And we arrived at my hometown of Webster. We stopped at the McDonald's, and I got myself 4 iced coffees. And I remember FaceTiming one of my then friends at the time, not one of my friends anymore, but FaceTimed one of my friends at the time and told him that I'm going to be picking him up and I'm going to be giving him $1 million. Of course, I don't have $1 million to give. I didn't know where that friend was. He wouldn't tell me. And I ended up ending the FaceTime very angry and disappointed that he wouldn't tell me. Again, another thing I'm grateful for, because that would just be one more additional thing that I have to be embarrassed about to remember. And now this is the part that is really embarrassing and perhaps funny to some. I got into the Hummer limo and I had it take me to the church reactory. The Catholic church in my town has a reactory where you could go. It's like a chapel where you can go and pray, and it's staffed all 24 hours of the day. So here we are at, I don't know, maybe 11 p.m., midnight, and I walk into the chapel, and I was so completely delusional at the time. I literally thought that I was like the second coming of Jesus, and I left a note on the check-in that I was Jesus Christ, and left a phone number for the father, the Catholic father, to contact me so that we can plan what we need to plan. Like, how ridiculous is that? I still can't believe that this happened. It's incredibly embarrassing. Thankfully, not a lot of people know about it. And based off the viewership of my channel, maybe about 1 to 200 people will see this video and then know about it. But I'm okay with that. Or who knows, maybe this video will just blow up and get millions of views, and now a whole bunch of people will know about it. Either way, I've moved on from it, and I'm able to share and have a laugh about it now. So that was one funny thing I did while manic. Another funny thing that happened while I was manic, another funny occurrence, is I got involved in politics. Specifically, I got involved in my local government and got appointed to a literal government position while I was manic. Now, at the time, my mania had me talking incredibly fast. Think like Sonic the Hedgehog, how fast he goes. Like, that's how fast I was talking. And my speech was incredibly disorganized. There wasn't a whole logic to much of what I said. And yet, for some reason, when I appeared before the town selectmen of my town, requesting to be appointed to the Economic Development Committee by a vote of 4-1, they voted to appoint me to the Town Development Committee. And I became an official member of the Webster government. Now, just a couple months later, I would get removed because I never showed up to any duties for it because I was, as you know, extremely manic. And yeah, so I got appointed to a government position. Thank the Lord I did not actually at any point sit on the committee, in a public setting where residents of the town ask you questions, because that would have been wholeheartedly embarrassing. And without equivocation, I think that that is something I would not have been able to move on from if I had embarrassed myself to that degree, to that level. Now, this one is kind of a minor thing. It's a little bit funny to me. Maybe it will be more funny to you. It was very funny to the guys in my frat at the time. I, on average, walked about 20 plus miles every single day while I was manic. I just had so much pent up energy that I couldn't get rid of. And I guess walking was just my way of releasing some of that energy. I would, walk 25 miles in a day on just a random Wednesday, and I would still have so much energy. I would go back to my room at the frat house at the end of the day, and I would be pacing back and forth, making checklists of different projects to do. It was just there was never enough things or projects to release all my energy. And it felt really stressful having all that energy. And I remember comparing on my phone to other guys in the frat that looked at their phones, what our average steps per day were, average miles per day. And, they would have like 3 to 5 miles in that range, typical for a college student, just walking to their classes, walking to the dining halls, and then back to their dorms. Well, I would have like 25 miles, and then there would be another day that says 33 miles, and then another day that says 18 miles. It was just absurdly high numbers of steps taken. I would have 30,000 steps in a day, 40,000 steps in a day. The most I think I had was somewhere in the range of 50,000. And yeah, it's unbelievable to look back on. I can't picture myself walking that much without being in mania. Even if I was in shape, I don't think I'd be able to walk that much. And important disclaimer, I was in shape while I was in mania. So that is why I was able to do all that. If I was at the weight I am now, there's no way I can conceptualize myself taking on that active of a lifestyle. Another thing involving the Catholic Church that was funny, I know we're revisiting that, and I'm not a Catholic, by the way. I do consider myself to be a spiritual person. I believe in God. I would go as far as to say that I am a Christian. I'm not a Catholic, though, and I'm not passing judgment on people who aren't, or people who aren't religious at all. I'm not someone who instills my beliefs onto others like that. But I had another encounter with the Catholic Church, this one with the Catholic Father himself. And at this particular time in my mania, I was profoundly paranoid. I thought that people were coming after me. And I remember developing this delusion that I was somehow related to the Kennedy family, and that in particular, I was John F. Kennedy Jr. I literally believed that so much that I started to talk like John F. Kennedy. I would watch his speeches and copy his mannerisms. Now, I'm not even going to attempt to do that now, but my accent sounded quite believable at the time, I will tell you that. So I organized a meeting with the Catholic Father, and we met at the Catholic Reactory, and he had me take a seat, and he shut the door, and I started off by relaying to him the stressors of my college semester, how I'd been hospitalized, about how I've been drinking to cope with depression, and then it got to the topic of the Kennedys, and I told him that, people are after me. I'm JFK Jr., and I don't want to be used as a political prop. And the Catholic Father just stared at me blankly, and he stood up without saying anything, and then he walks over to the door, opens it, and he says, "Well, thank you for coming by. I'll see what I can do." And then I walk out. As soon as he shuts the door, locks it. So I might have spooked him a bit with what I said. He might have had an epiphany at that moment that, wow, this guy is incredibly crazy, which would have been true for him to say, because my, oh my, I was. Everybody, thank you so much for watching this video. Those are just some of the funny things that I did while manic, funny occurrences, or you could interpret them as scary. Interpret them however you like. I thought they were pretty funny to look back on. They're not my proudest moments. No experience from my manic episode I would regard as my proudest moments. But nonetheless, they happened, and I have to accept that they happened. And being able to laugh and share a laugh with others is a first step in making that happen. My manic episode was a major problem. And the first step to solving a problem is acknowledging that a problem exists. And I don't want this problem to happen again. So I acknowledge it. I accept it. I can laugh about it. It's been some time. But thank you all for watching. I appreciate you stopping by. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. If you are a new viewer, welcome. Please hit that subscribe button and hit that like button so more people can see this video. That would be greatly appreciated. And we just hit the new year, so I'll be coming out with lots of content this year. I hope that you'll join me along this journey. I'll be uploading plenty of more content, particularly about mental health. So if that's something that interests you, if this video was entertaining to you, educational to you, then definitely hit that subscribe button, because so much more content is coming. Peace out, everybody. Love y'all.